and it's just an American citizen. Hi, I'm Mark, just an American citizen. Dr. V, who's normally with me, is not with me today, but maybe joining us later. I don't know. I'm going to try to pull him in. Santa made a deal with him where he said, look, I'll go out with you. If you pay for my lunch, you can bring your grandkids. What was Dr. V going to say? He went for it. Boom, kaboom. What am I going to say? You got to have a great time. You got your grandkids. That's what we talk about. We love grandchildren. We love family. I say go for it, Dr. V. I miss you. Here we go. Let's start talking about what's going on. First thing, and I didn't mention it in the description. I didn't until the end, but it's really so important. What happened in New York? New York, the manhunt, which is really now outside of New York, the FBI has taken over, where this guy set up the assassination of the CEO of United Healthcare. I mean, absolutely incredible. You wonder what's going on. And what's really crazier about the whole thing is not only that he was able to get away. I mean, look, it's a gigantic city. You run around, these types of things go on, and it's like, okay, but normally you'll catch somebody like this. But what happened here is people are actually cheering this guy along. How can you cheer for this guy? Look. Insurance companies rip off Americans all the time. It always happens. There's never a question about it, okay? That's where it goes. You're stuck with them. You need insurance for your car. You need insurance for your house. You need insurance for your health. Health is most important. And you're going to be in a position where they're always making money. Look at all the TV shows. You ever look at TV? How many ads are on there for insurance? If you see all those ads on there for Spartacus, love you, good seeing you. Dr. V may be joining us. He's with his grandchildren. He paid off Santa to join him for lunch. So right now, so you look at insurance companies. That's why they're always on TV. They've made so much. Thank you. They've made so much money that they're always on TV. They're always advertising. So what do you expect? Of course, health insurance companies are going to make real money. Of course, life insurance companies are going to make real money. They all work on numbers. So now we're looking at a situation where this guy comes out like what does he think he's, not Robin Hood, but who does he think he is? He thinks he comes out, we don't know, but there is theory out there that, hello, you guys, Dr. V may be joining us, but he got paid off by Santa to have lunch with his grandkids. We sit here, we watch this guy, and then I'm watching media, social media, wondering, why are people supporting this guy? What is so great about this guy assassinating the CEO of United Health? Think about that. That's really crazy. I'm going to come right back to it. I wanted to open with that because to me, that makes no sense at all. What are you proving by killing a guy? Let you have the new Congress, get them moving, but shooting somebody, how is he a hero? Even some doctors make him look like a hero. Let's get away from that now. Let's get to the good stuff. Syria imploded. Look, all of you guys have been watching us, all of you people, guys, gender neutral, know where I've stood on all this. Iran's our enemy. Russia's our enemy. They've been doing everything they can to hurt us. And the Middle East has been one area where they've tried to do it. Yet look what has happened. Russia and Iran just got handled in Syria. They just got handled in Syria. But keep this in mind. We've got an album of the week coming. And there's a question about Tulsi Gabbard in here. We're going to come back. They were just cooking. That was Iran and Syria were working together. I'm sorry, Iran and Russia. Iran was sending all the drones to Russia, helping Russia blow up Ukraine and make the move while trying to give Russia a major foothold in the Middle East. They have a port in Syria. Not only a port, they have a air base in Syria. And what did Russia do? Like they did all the time. They would just blow people up. And they did this 6-7 years ago during the civil war in Syria. And they turned it around for Assad. He was really a kind of a whip. You ever seen that picture? Google him, of him in his little skimpy bathing suit with his father. I mean, I think he was trying to look like a man. I don't know about that. It's enough to laugh at, but it wasn't, because this is a killer like his father, Hafez al-Assad, who just destroy people, I think it was at Homs, and use chemical weapons there. But here we go, and this is starting to break. But how did it break? Syria was set up where everybody went through Syria. Syria used to be such a strong army. It was Syria and Egypt. But all the weapons would go through Syria to Hezbollah or out through Iraq, and they would all work through, and Syria was right there, and al-Assad wouldn't fight with Israel. He would just let everybody go through, and what was happening was Syria was a major transit area. But he didn't care about his people, and all he wanted was to destroy his people. That's all he wanted to do, just like his dad, and look what happened. You know something? That's what's so great about America. Compare us to something like Syria, okay? You sit there, you go, how can you really do that? The way you do it is by looking at what we've got. In this country, you're not just going to have a group of rebels going through, taking over all the capitals of the United States, and everything's going to roll over because people don't care. People care in this country because you have rights, because it's a great country, because things are starting to really happen here. It's going to work. We've been working, and we've been getting better since the pandemic, and things have been moving. And now all of a sudden, we're starting to see, it's not all of a sudden, but it's slowly starting to see our adversaries in the world who are really trying to take us down, who are trying to kill our economy, who are trying to kill our dollar, who are trying to do all this, come in and lose one of their major allies, Syria, to help them because they want to be able to bring down America, death to America. Now, is this all good? Not necessarily, because remember what happens here. These rebels, these people who came in, were backed by the Turks. The Turks Erdogan, the president of Turkey, loves Putin, Russian president. Goes with it, loves him, and they start moving forward. Even though he's a member of NATO, he kind of works both ways. You can't be sure. This is good for him. At the same time, you've got Trump. I don't know why he puts out in True Social, we shouldn't get involved. I mean, like, duh. But we already have 900 troops there. We've been working with the Kurds to keep that area together so that ISIS can't come back. But the rebels who have come in and taken over Damascus are out of ISIS. This is incredible. This is like, wow. And now this guy is sitting there, then their head sitting there going, I want to look out for people. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe things will work out. All I know is this: it can't be any worse for the Syrian people. So many of them during this civil war who got smashed by the Iranians. Remember, Hezbollah sent in their fighters to kill the Syrians. So the Syrians don't like Lebanon, and they don't like Hezbollah. The Russians sent in their planes to smash Syrians. The people don't like Russia there. Iran sent in their IRG. They were about to send in there some people, I don't know if it was troops or leaders, and they were told their planes are going to be shot out of the air if they came into Lebanon to do it. I'm sorry, if they came into Syria or Lebanon, and they just turned around and went the other way. That's what's going on now. America is starting to be in a good position because people are seeing they don't want this autocratic, this dictatorial BS going on that they got to deal with like a guy like Assad. And like I said, that's what's great about our country. Think about it. We can sit here and talk about it. We can sit here and say people are crazy. We can sit here and say, Mark, you don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't matter what's going on with that. This is what matters. We can do this. We can exchange. We can have a good time. We can talk. Thank you for that. We can have it for that second thumbs up. We can have an album of the week, which I think everybody's going to like. We can do whatever we want here. Go on, have a good time, and not worry about the rebels showing up on the end of the street. That's what's so great, because people here believe. Think about what happened. They just rolled like they were rolling through Russia. Like they were rolling. Wagner was rolling through Russia. Probably could have taken out Putin or made it tough for him. That's what was going on here, because the people don't subscribe to their leadership. They just get used to it because there's just too much weaponry and they're going to get killed and they don't care. And they see this, and here's a chance. Hopefully Turkey will be okay, and this guy this leader will do things. But remember this, Syria is not going to be one big country. It's always going to be divided. And now more than ever, you've got al-Assad's Alawite group. You've got, what is he? I believe the Sunnis are there. You got Shiites from the other areas. It's just always going to be separate. You got the Kurds, of course. It's just, I don't see it unifying. It's sure isn't going to unify tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be what's going to be MTBD. Good to see you. It's going to be interesting to see if the Russians are allowed to keep their airport and their base, and to keep their naval base. I'll tell you, the Turks, I'm sure, would do whatever they can to let Russia do it, but Russia can't be happy because the people in that country know how the Russians killed them. They did everything they could to take them apart. Now, let's keep this in mind. Tulsi Gabbard, where does Tulsi Gabbard come into all this? She has been nominated to be Director of National Intelligence, DNI. Tulsi Gabbard came in, understand, I got nothing with Trump picking loyalists. I got nothing with Trump picking people he wants to do his business. I mean, Senate's got to do what they've got to do. They got to look into it, make decisions, go forward, and do what they believe in. At the same time, Trump has the right to ask, to try to nominate these people. But at the same time, these people have to be at least good enough, smart enough, to occupy these jobs. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, yeah, she was a congressman. She was a supporter of Assad. Think about that. This guy who just got thrown out by his countrymen or whomever, I think he had to fly to Russia. She has been nominated to be Director of National Intelligence because she said when it was obvious to the world that he was using chemical weapons on Syrians, she said it isn't true. Tulsi Gabbard said it isn't true. Note this. You can't walk away from something like this. She was a supporter of al-Assad. How long that lasted, I don't know. It's sure, never heard her pull back on it. And at the same time, Tulsi Gabbard, when she got nominated, who was her biggest supporter? Russia. It was all over the Russian news. All over the Russian news, how psyched they were to have her there. Why? Because the Russians love her. Because she has got nothing. She likes Putin. And look what's happening. Putin is crumbling in Syria after killing people. Tan Glover, it does matter because in the end, we have Americans who are going to be overseas. We have, are terrorists going to end up coming here? Are we going to lose Americans? Or are there going to be more Americans that die? We still have Americans who have been held hostage in Gaza, Tan Glover. It does matter. This stuff does matter. We've got to look at it. Everybody always says, and I'm happy you kind of noted it up there, not bologna. Come on, who eats bologna anymore? I like turkey, but it isn't. It affects everyone. It affects our friends, it affects our enemies, and it affects us. And to say that we've got nothing to do with it, I mean, to say it's bologna, it doesn't work, I don't know. I just don't agree. And bologna isn't a meat that I eat, so I'm not with you on that, but I appreciate your input on that. So as we're moving forward, that's who our Director of National Intelligence is. That's who we're putting out to be Director of National Intelligence. Isn't that interesting? You got to stand up to people like this, because if you don't, we're going to have some real issues now. It's time for the album of the week. Until we get Trump in, the politics and everything to me is like, it's there. I've been watching my riflemen and all the old cowboy channels. Can't believe all the killings I always see. But at the same time, I'm back into my music, and I'm blowing back into my music. And last week, I brought out one of the greatest first metal albums of all time by Deep Purple, which was, no, not what you think, it was In Rock. Great album. But here, this album came out, which I'm going to throw out to you, about, 12 years later, 1978, and In Rock was like 10 years later. So In Rock came out, blew away, but then this group came out of left field, a group called Van Halen. This is their first album, the album of the week. Let me tell you something. If you love metal, this is what led into the 80s. It got too glam, it got too crazy at the end, but these guys came out and made things happen. And this album, all attitude there. David Lee Roth. This album came out and blew everyone away. Eddie on the frets with the finger, but at the same time, the opening songs on here. You start off. Let me just say, when you listen to this music, you listen the way the albums were put out. If you listen to how Guillermo, love you. If you listen to how they change it now, don't. Listen to the way the groups wanted to listen to their albums. Side one, they open up with Running with the Devil. We all know. Remember, this is 1978. They're just coming out. This guy has some guitar. We've had Jimmy all through with his psychedelia and his blues. And then a lot of other guys, Wishbone Ash with theirs, the others. Here we go. Eddie Van Halen, you hear it, Running with the Devil. Then all of a sudden you get Eruption and You Really Got Me. Now look, You Really Got Me came out in 1964, the Kinks. You Really Got Me and All Day and All the Night. Two great songs. The Kinks were great. After that, those are like the two first rock songs in rock history. These guys came over with the British invasion, with the Beatles, the Stones, the DC-5, the Animals, and all the rest. The Hermits, he did so. They came out, incredible song. And then they went off on their own. Ray Davies and Dave Davis. Ray Davis and Dave Davies went off their own brothers. They changed their last. One changed his last name. So they come in, and you come in with Eruption. Who ever heard Eruption? And then you and you sit there, and it gets cranked up. And then you got this lead singer coming on with attitude. He can't sing. He's got attitude. They call him David Roth, not David Lee Roth. David Roth. David Lee becomes David Lee later. Incredible. Then you start talking, ain't talking about love. I'm the one. So you're listening to this. You're going, how can it go any louder? I still put it on. I'm listening to Eddie, and Eddie is sitting there with the finger. He's just kind of touching. He's just pop, 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 pop. Nobody else is doing it at that point. They come out. They're not glam, but I take my wife, I wasn't married to then, to our first concert, and it was Van Halen, right after this album was released. Everyone, it was like a different world then. The women were taking off their shirts. I've never seen anything like it. I remember sitting there going, who is this group? This group is incredible. My wife wouldn't do that. My girlfriend then wouldn't do that. No way. But these others were doing it. I'm going, how can this group be so good that all the women's throwing themselves at him, kind of like Tom Jones, and he is just going crazy. David Lee takes it off, has his shirt off. They're going, but the music is loud. The music is energy. The music is incredible. And these guys know how to play it. Then you roll over to side. Just after you listen to side one, sit back, take a breath, go woo, take a pop of tequila, go right on back, go to side two and open up with, oh, 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 Jamie's crying. Then we start getting into atomic punk. There's Eddie just going crazy with this guitar again. I feel you're the little dreamer. Oh, Ice Cream Man on fire. Let me tell you something. This is the album. This is the album of the week. Total attitude. Total incredibleness. Alex knew how to play the drums. Michael was okay on the bass, but his background vocals, he hit these high notes. It made Van Halen incredible. And we're not talking Van Hagar, we're talking Van Halen. And that's where we were with all that. And this album is great. 1978, and it blew everything away. It started a whole new genre of just metal and guitar. As you got more guitars come blowing out, and nothing ever really compared to that. They went all the way through 1984 with Jump, and all that started rocking. And you're sitting there going, whew, how can you listen to music like this and not just sit down? You can't. And Eddie just had this great look about it. David Lee had this attitude. They had this interview with David Lee. Thank you for the thumbs up, and please subscribe to Just an American Citizen. Thank you for watching. Eddie they had this interview with David Lee. He's sitting there in his outfit going, Edward is just the incredible technology, the incredible guitars, and I'm just the singer. And then he leaves like a dummy. And then I went and saw Van Hagar, which was with Sammy Hagar, so it became Van Hagar. He took David Lee, and David Lee had his own group. He got, who was it? It'll come to me. Vi was Vi one of the lead guitarists? I think he was, Steve Vai. We went to see them and saw them with Cinderella. Cinderella blew them off the stage. I think they had just started. David Lee was okay on his own, had some great, this Steve Vai's great, had some great a band with him, but he just didn't rock. I mean, just didn't do it. Van Hagar, though, with Sammy, they came in, it was more ballads, but Eddie just took his guitar work to another level, and it's just the rhythm, everything just came together. It was, wow. How can you go from being great at Van Halen and then great to Van Hagar, but to start off with an album like this, as a placebo for a couple. Come on, Escape. Great. Thank you very much. I'm happy to see I'm a placebo. What can I tell you? But that's where it gets. So Van Halen became Van Hagar, went off. Then we saw him years later when Eddie Eddie looked okay. He had all his hair cut off. David Lee looked horrendous, and he couldn't yell anymore the way he could, and he couldn't jump up and down, but they were okay. All I can say is this group, this is the album of the week. And if you don't listen to this album, and I'm telling you, the way they tell you to do it, first side, listen, then the second side. Crank it up, real loud, listen to these guys as it starts a new genre, the new genre of metal guitar, leaving just blues and all the rest of it. He could do anything. The other thing I loved about Eddie was he loved the Dave Clark Five. Well, that was my understanding. Eddie never told me. I never met Eddie. I only saw them, 1, 2, 3, I think it's like 6, 7 times. I lost count. So Eddie never said hi to me, but I heard that Eddie loved the DC-5. You love the DC-5, you're okay with me. I love the DC-5, the scapegoat, you're okay. I love the DC-5, so that took him to another level. Any way you want it. Glad all over. You're going to be starting to see some of this stuff as we start coming in. More. We're just going to start. I've been having people coming in at Just American Citizen saying, Mark, more music. So I just jumped into it today because I had it with the politics. And let me tell you this, as we watch this, things are going to start breaking in the middle of January. Enjoy some good stuff. Enjoy your TV. Enjoy your movies. Enjoy your music. Because this is stuff you can do now. And it doesn't matter. No reason for anybody to get mad at each other. And remember some of the things that I've been talking about. Please, as weird as it seems like nothing, but it isn't. Smile at somebody when you pass them, will you? I mean, people just don't get together anymore. At least smile when you pass somebody. Hi. Somebody will go, hi. What's wrong with that? How about if somebody you put on your blinker and somebody, because now if you put on your blinker, they just hit the gas and don't let you in. But how about if you put on a blinker? Yeah, people don't care, but this really makes a difference. And they let you in. Give them a wave. I mean, try to be nice to people. It isn't hard. You don't have to hug them. You don't have to kiss them. You don't have to have a full conversation with them. But if you're with them and you're around them and you're talking to them, you start understanding and feeling the way they do and it just kind of brings people together. And this is the time of year for it to happen. Yeah, it sounds like jive, but that's how I was brought up. This is the time of the year people should be just kind of trying to come together, especially us. Trying to come together, trying to make it all happen, reaching out and just being a little bit. Don't sit at a stoplight and throw trash out your window. How about that for another thing? I watch people do that. I go, why do you throw trash outside your window? Leave it in your car, you'll get to a trash can and you'll throw it out. What am I realizing? A scapegoat, there's no question about that. And that's what I've been saying to everybody. We are Americans. We are America. That's what makes us great. People don't understand in the rest of the world, except they understand that they want to come here. Not because they're crowded out, but because they want to come here. Because it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is in this country. What matters is you come here, hopefully you legally become a citizen, but you come here, you come because of the ideas that we all share. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. And that's what the commonalities are. It doesn't matter what you look like. Good looking, ugly. Look at this mug. Anything. It doesn't matter. You just come here. That's why people come here. That's why we have to understand how great we have it. Because you come here because you believe in those ideas and those ideals. And yes, America made lots of mistakes. And yes, we're going to make more mistakes. But we start coming together. And as we start coming together, we realize that as we share that same idea, it's like we're the soup. We're like a soup, and the differences are like our little spices, which make it a little bit better. Is it chicken soup? Is it this vegetable soup? Is it this soup or that soup? I don't know. All I know is this. That's why we have to work together. That's why we have to stay together. People I know at this time of year, it's like, oh, it's enough, Mark. Yeah, it may be. But take a step back. When you're at Christmas, when you're at Hanukkah, when you're at any time, just watching a show, think about how good we got it, because we can watch that show and not worry about the rebels running down the streets, because Americans believe in America. That's where we are. And I want to thank you all. We'll see you next Sunday. I don't see anything emergency happening for me to come in. Sunday at 11, Dr. V will be back with us. We'll just roll on through. You can always comment on Just an American Citizen, and please subscribe. We appreciate your thumbs up. I appreciate your comments. Get rested, enjoy, gain weight, love it. See you next Sunday at 11, and that's the way it is, period. Spartacus.